I'm flying solo tonight with regards to a topic that I feel very strongly about, which is healing through God-given means such as frequencies from a Rife machine or a Rife machine setup or a zapper, as well as vitamins, herbs, and supplements. Interestingly enough, the pharmaceutical industry does not want you to necessarily be healed of your diseases and conditions because it makes them money, whereas it causes us to have less money when we see doctors and hospitals. There's always a time and a place for doctors and hospitals, but what if you were able to be actually healed of your diseases and conditions? Well, I stumbled on an amazing machine called the Spooky Tube, and I just wanted to tell you about it.
Sure. Basically, up until 1992, there was always a lot of revolving door personnel going back and forth between pharma. First of all, I hope people realize pharma is not just a sort of a euphemism or a metaphor for just all of the pharmaceutical industry. This is a group of people that have their own board of directors. It's sort of like what the Milk Council did for the Got Milk campaign for all of the milk industry. That's what pharma is to all of the pharmaceutical industry. So it's sort of like they're big protectors, and if you know what I will. So up until 1992, there's a lot of revolving door personnel. So it's always been sort of an issue when you have people that used to work at say Pfizer working in the drug evaluation department for the FDA. There's going to be some conflict of interest that's going to arise. But in 1992, they really took it one step further. And what they did, as most people know, is there's I guess there's like 1,000 lobbyists, like 3 lobbyists for the pharmaceutical industry per each member of Congress, essentially, between 2 and 3. So there's a lot of power there and a lot of money being thrown around. In 1992, pharma lobbied Congress to pass what's called the Drug User Fee Act, which basically the FDA didn't request it. They just sort of forced it upon them. So what it is the FDA now has to accept money from the pharmaceutical industry per application for any new drug to be approved, to be submitted to be approved. So whether if Viagra had to pay a fee in order to get this thing to be considered by the FDA. So and every year it keeps going up since 1992, and Congress could kill it any time. Every year they can either not renew it or renew it, and it's gotten to the point where over 50% of the FDA's drug evaluation department money comes now from pharma. It's no longer just the taxpayer money like what most people think at all. So when you have when the FDA has sort of been propped up to where now they're dependent, there's a larger staff obviously so they can rush their drugs through, Vioxx, things like that, and of course the drugs I'm sure that are okay, and so it's you basically. The FDA is now financially dependent on the very industry that it is been asked to regulate. So it causes a really big problem. And sorry. Yep.
I think the number that you put into the movie was that pharma has given the FDA about $500 million last year.
It's over $500 million. It's like 600 and some million. Yeah. And each application, and it goes up every year. The year I had to change the numbers because I was working on the film for a couple of years. It was like $100 million less the year before. So you can imagine how fast it's going up. And it went from 1.2 million per application. So for a cancer drug, it requires clinical trials. They have to pay the FDA $1.2 million per application for each drug. Now, that was 2 years ago. That was a year ago. Now this year it's like $1.4 million. So it goes up every couple 100,000 every year. So you can just imagine how that's going to continue going.
Can you heal yourself with Rife technology through your PC? Can you possibly be healed of various diseases such as colds, flus, bronchial infections, HIV, AIDS, Lyme disease, cancer, multiple sclerosis, Morgellons, staph and MRSA, chronic fatigue syndrome, and allergies, etc., through your PC? Of course, these statements are not FDA approved, but then again, if you have been studying conspiracy, you'll know that the FDA and AMA, or Food and Drug Administration and American Medical Association, don't necessarily want you to learn of natural, alternative, and holistic methods to heal yourself because it will divert money away from hospitals and doctors and the pharmaceutical and medical industry at large. Also, if you don't know about natural ways to heal yourself of fatal diseases and infections, it accomplishes the New World Order goal of population control. Take a look at the Georgia Guidestones, in which the powers that be, or secret societies that control the world, want to keep the population under 20 million in the years to come. Of course, that number is infinitesimal compared to the amount of people that are alive today in the billions. That number of people, of course, is the sold out to the enemy Luciferian elite, in which the UN representatives have actually been quoted as saying that this is what people must do, which is sell their souls to Lucifer in order to enter into the New World Order. Anyhow, enough about that. They say that if something sounds too good to be true, it often is. I once thought that way until I stumbled upon what is considered rife technology in an internet search. Dr. Raymond Royal Rife was a brilliant scientist who lived from the late 1800s until his death in 1971. He studied bacteriology from Johns Hopkins University, and he applied various electrical frequencies to pathogens like viruses, bacteria, and parasites underneath a microscope. What he and his colleagues saw was groundbreaking. He noticed that certain frequencies applied to pathogens would burst open and be killed. You've obviously witnessed or at least heard of an opera singer singing the right note which can break a glass. Have you also heard that chickens in a particular farm were dying, and they found out the reason that they were dying and getting killed was because the frequency that a nearby generator or apparatus was emitting was 7 kilohertz, which is the frequency that chicken brains resonate at. Every organism, you and me, as well as viruses, bacteria, and parasites, resonate at a certain frequency. Hit that note, like the opera singer, and the organism is killed. That's what Dr. Rife did. He even had a congratulatory ceremony in his and his colleagues' honor, celebrating the end of all or most diseases due to the Rife technology. However, in the next few days or weeks after that, every person that was affiliated with him completely disavowed that they even knew him or about his technology to heal people. Their laboratory equipment was confiscated. They were threatened with, only God and the people actually know, and their families, with perhaps imprisonment, penalties, fines, and even death. The American Medical Association dragged him to court and imprisoned him on and off throughout his life until his death in 1971. They tried to call him a scam artist or con man and said that he had no legitimate scientific evidence or proof that the Rife machine could kill bacteria, viruses, or parasites. Even though he passed, others have carried Dr. Rife's torch, and since then his technology has been improved upon and optimized in such that Rife machines are sold for thousands of dollars instead of millions of dollars. However, there is a company that sells their version of Rife machines for anywhere from $215 to around $850. That's with shipping and handling and tax. So the question is, if this Rife technology is so effective and successful, where are the success stories? Wouldn't it be on every news channel? Like I said, the powers that be that control the world, secret societies, are in charge of the media and control and limit what people view and believe. Like I said, they don't want you to necessarily believe you can be healed of diseases without the help of doctors or allopathic medicines because A, it keeps the medical system flowing financially with the billions of dollars spent on the pharmaceutical industry, and B, it keeps people in the dark with regards to being healed of fatal diseases such as cancer, which accomplishes the goal of population control or reduction or Agenda 21. If it all sounds too strange and unbelievable, please do your research on what I'm saying. Also, great scientists such as Nikola Tesla and Albert Einstein discovered and experimented with this technology, both of which were also quelled by the powers that be. Please enjoy this audio if you're listening on Spreaker or FringeRadioNetwork.com, or if you happen to be watching this video on YouTube. Personally, I bought a Spooky 2 Rife machine version and the website to read testimonials and success stories, as well as to purchase the equipment that hooks up to your PC or laptop, is spooky2-mall.com, which is S as in Sam, P as in Peter, O, K as in kangaroo, Y as in yellow, the number 2-mall, M as in mother, A as in apple, L as in Larry, L as in Larry.com. So spooky2-mall.com. I bought the Spooky 2 Essentials Kit for around $550, and I have been so blessed since. Don't worry, don't sell it, nor am I a salesperson for them. They actually don't have salespeople, only volunteers. I bought it because I have been suffering with a staph infection for about a year and a half now, and that's the reason why I bought it mainly. And I also have Morgellons and some other infections as well. It is healing me from the inside out, and I know that the Spooky 2 Rife machine is definitely helping me and healing me. Staph is actually internal as well as external. So a lot of antibiotics, can't kill staph. Some can and some can't. A lot of people don't have success with antibiotics because their diseases are resistant first of all, viruses actually don't respond to antibiotics because antibiotics target bacteria. So since staph and MRSA are bacteria, some of the versions and strains of it are actually resistant to antibiotics. So that's part of the reason why I bought this machine, as well as for other reasons. There is a database of 41,000 different conditions. Not only are there diseases in this database for the Spooky 2 machine, but there are conditions to be improved upon. Like, for example, I have dental paresthesia, which means that when I went to go get a wisdom tooth extraction, my teeth were impacted. In other words, the teeth were underneath the gum line. And so when the dentist extracted my wisdom teeth in the lower left quadrant of my mouth, he hit a nerve, quite literally hit a nerve. And so the lower left-hand quadrant of my mouth is numb. So interestingly enough, there is a dental paresthesia program. So I'm looking forward to utilizing that to see if it would work. But I can tell you from firsthand experience, it is definitely healing my staph infection little by little every day, whereas nothing I did before that really worked. So I definitely encourage you to check out their website. It's spooky2-mall.com. You'll see testimonials and success stories, hundreds of them, as well as reading about them. The founder, who is John White, had optimized and improved upon the Rife technology in such that you have a database that you download onto your laptop. And then you're able to type in your conditions and bring it up in the search of the 41,000 different ailments. And then it actually will transmit those frequencies, those customized frequencies through the Spooky 2 Rife machine to you. Through various means. You could either do remote or contact. But for right now, I'm just going to tackle what contact is. Contact is basically that your PC will transmit those frequencies that are healing and or killing through your killing, meaning it's transmitting those killing frequencies to those different diseases that you have, and it's also healing your body. So it goes through the PC, through the Spooky 2 Rife machine to these electrical wires that you hook up to these TENS pads. TENS pads are like, I don't know if you've ever seen those athletes that they put those little square pads on their body to help them heal from their injuries and such, or to optimize their muscles. Anyway, so even if you don't believe in the technology of the Rife machine, at least you can believe that athletes have different frequencies applied to their body, and it will expand and contract their muscles to increase their muscularity and their tone and firming and strengthening their muscles and such. Well, in like manner, the Rife machine, it sends those frequencies out through, like I said, from the PC to the Rife machine and to you through the TENS pads, or you can choose to use these silver cylinder handholds. So you can hold these cylinder handholds in your hands, and then it'll also transmit the frequency to that. And the remote healing is completely something that'll blow your mind. So, but I'll tackle that on another show. That is definitely mind-blowing. That is something that, like I said, Nikola Tesla and Einstein had stumbled upon in their research, and it's called quantum entanglement. And that is extremely, extremely fascinating and bizarre at the same time, and yet highly effective. And that's part of the Spooky 2 system. Why it's called Spooky 2 is because Albert Einstein actually said regarding quantum entanglement that it's spooky. In other words, what he stumbled upon was something just out of this world. So he called it, quote, spooky. So that's the reason why the Rife machine is called Spooky 2. And the reason why there's a number 2 behind it is because there was a version before and they improved upon it, which is why it's Spooky 2. So anyhow, enjoy this video, and I hope that you learn from it. I hope that you pray about and think about perhaps purchasing this system for either you or someone you know, or you or someone you love. Almost everybody can be benefited by this. It's not just necessarily for you if you don't have any different ailments, if you don't have any conditions and what have you that need to be healed or improved upon, but it can also heal other people in your life. Normally people have at least one person in their life that they know has cancer or Lyme disease or some debilitating condition. So hopefully the Spooky 2 can be able to help them. You can check out the various frequencies for Spooky 2 at this website, spooky2-mall.com/frequency.pdf. Again, that's spooky2-mall.com/frequency.pdf. And you can do a search on the various pathogens and diseases and conditions that the Spooky 2 will address. Like I said, it may or may not help. But it's something that I think would help. A lot of people don't have a whole lot to lose, considering that they've spent thousands, hundreds and thousands of dollars on doctors and sometimes no avail, especially with regards to cancer treatment. When people are diagnosed with cancer, they inevitably feel like they can't be healed, or it's this long, arduous, painful process of going through chemotherapy and losing one's hair, and you know, of course, the nausea and losing weight and things like that, you know, which is I've not had cancer, thankfully, but I know that it's very debilitating and sometimes fatal unless a person goes through chemotherapy. And then a lot of people believe that chemotherapy is the only way to be healed of cancer, you know, if they're in their latter stages of it. But I'm telling you, there are people on that website, the Spooky 2 website, that have, as well as just general Rife machine success stories. So if you're not interested in buying a Spooky 2, if you're interested in buying another Rife machine altogether, you could type in Rife, R-I-F-E, R-I-F as in Frank, E, machine success stories, and you'll read other success stories of people that have been healed through the other Rife machine. So in other words, a Rife machine is similar like to a car. So a car has different brands like BMW, Volkswagen, Toyota, Hyundai. Likewise, a Rife machine has various versions. Like I said, the creme de la creme package is, you know, anywhere from $5,000 to $10,000, and that would actually emit a frequency, but it'll actually emit a frequency up to a radius, I think, of 60 meters, I believe. I forget. Don't quote me on how many meters it is, but it'll actually emit a frequency wherever that machine is, you know, to heal the people in the house or get rid of critters like, you know, mites or lice or ticks or roaches or what have you, believe it or not. So that's a plasma, Spooky 2 plasma machine that's, I think, $2,000. I forget. There are Rife machines that, you know, like I said, anywhere from $5,000 to $10,000 out there on the internet, and they purport to do different things. But why I like the Spooky 2, it's affordable, you know, for the average person with the average income like us, who can afford, you know, $200 or $500, especially if that will help heal both of us. You know, and that'll also, you know, that would be something that we would normally probably spend on doctor bills and medicine and things like that, which have proven ineffective anyway. So anyway, I hope that you enjoyed this video or this audio, however you're listening or watching. And I just pray that God blesses you and that He will give you peace in your heart with regards to how to heal or treat yourself and how to heal and treat others.
Who was Dr. Royal Raymond Rife? And why are so many people still interested in the technology he spent many years of his life developing? In this documentary, you will learn about a brilliant and gifted man who developed the world's most powerful optical microscopes, which overcame the limitations of standard research microscopes, and who discovered a way to destroy deadly microorganisms using coordinative resonance. Though he died in 1971, interest in his discoveries did not. Royal Raymond Rife was a handsome and gifted young man. He had an inquisitive mind and explored many interests. He was born May 16, 1888, in the state of Nebraska to Royal Raymond Rife Sr. of Ohio and Ida Mae Cheney of Creston, Iowa. Dr. Rife was their second child, an older sibling having died in infancy. Ida Mae became ill and died 8 months after his birth in 1889. After her death, because Rife Sr. was working 14 to 16 hours a day as a mechanical engineer, he took his son to his sister, Nina Culver Rife Dryden. She said about this difficult situation, "I raised him and brought him up as though he was my own." He lived with her from the time he was 8 months of age until the year 1905. At this time, he had an interest in becoming a medical doctor and pursued this dream. He went to Johns Hopkins University to begin his medical training, and after some study, he found that he had a greater interest in the field of bacteriology. In this field, he did a great deal of work, which included photographing many specimens for the University of Heidelberg. Because of the great contributions Rife made to Heidelberg University, he was given an honorary doctorate of parasitology in 1914. Because his studies of bacteria required intensive use of microscopes, Dr. Rife developed an interest in optics and began studying in that field as well. This interest led him to New York's Zeiss Works. Zeiss microscopes were world-renowned even at that time, and Dr. Rife studied from 1904 to 1908 with Hans Lückel, the senior optics engineer. In 1846, Carl Zeiss set up a workshop for precision mechanics and optics in Jena, Germany. 20 years later, he went into partnership with Ernst Abbe, whose theory of microscope image formation led to greatly improved microscopes. These innovations made Zeiss a world leader in optics and made it the logical place for Dr. Rife to study microscope and lens technology. With his scientific brilliance and knowledge of optics and bacteriology, Dr. Rife was poised to begin an incredible journey of discovery. This journey began with his move to California, where he settled in Point Loma. Dr. Rife met Mamie Quinn. He fell deeply in love with her. Rife liked poetry and would write her little poems to express how he felt about her. There was a great deal of prejudice in those days, but this didn't make any difference in the way they felt about each other. She was a great support to him in all his endeavors. They married in 1912. For some unknown reason, they were never able to have any children. Their marriage lasted for 45 years until her death in 1957. From 1915 to 1920, Rife worked in his private lab identifying and classifying disease-causing microorganisms. By the end of 1920, he was frustrated with the standard research microscopes because of the limitations in magnification. At this time, he was working on cancer, and the limitations of magnification were stopping him from finding the viral cause of the disease. Standard research microscopes at the time, like those manufactured today, could only magnify a microorganism up to 2,500 times diameter. Dr. Rife felt that with this limitation, he would never be able to find the true cause of many diseases. At about this time, Rife began his work using frequency instruments. He told a reporter in a May 6, 1938 Evening Tribune article that he also experimented with electrical stimuli on various microorganisms, and he noticed the individualistic differences in the chemical constituents of the diseased organisms, saw the indications of electrical characteristics, and observed the electrical polarities in the organisms. Random speculation on the observations suddenly stirred in his mind a startling, astonishing thought. What would happen if I subjected these organisms to different electrical frequencies, he wondered. With this revolutionary thought, he began to gather all the necessary instruments such as standard research microscopes, frequency generators to produce the high frequencies he would work with, test tubes, and bacteriological equipment, cages for guinea pigs and other animals he would be working with, cameras for photographing specimens, and machine shop machinery to build his own designs. Rife met Lee DeForest, the father of modern vacuum tubes, who was an important contributor to early radio technology. He helped to build many of Rife's early frequency generators.
Way back in 1920, when, of course, radio was really in its infancy, I worked a number of years with Lee DeForest, which is a good man, and he's a daddy, you know.
Rife found, through arduous experimentation, looking through the microscope as he applied various frequencies, that he was able to kill these microorganisms, proving his theory to be correct. In order to determine which frequencies would kill a particular organism, it was absolutely essential that he be able to see the organisms in a living state so that he could observe the effect of various frequencies in real time. Rife later called a frequency which killed an organism its MOR, or mortal oscillatory rate.
As an example, it's worked out, my theory was worked out on a basic principle of what we term coordinated resonance. Now we put a slide of a certain chemical or material under the petrographical micropolariscope, which is that second microscope down there. I didn't build that, I designed it. Now, we have what we call a coordinated resonance, you see. We have a chemical here, we have a frequency. All right. We will take and change those to two tuning forks that's pitched to the C absolute. We put the other one down there, we strike this one, the other one resonates. It's coordinated resonance, owing to the chemical constituents. And we create that electronically, the same as we determine what material is under that microscope by the color and the index of light as we rotate it between the analyzer and polarizer. As the color index fades from one color to the other, the angle of refraction of that crystal and so on, we can tell. It's coordinated resonance. The same as I say, you take two tuning forks that's pitched to the C or an A absolute, you strike one, the other one resonates. So we're showing an electronic frequency through the tissues of the body that simply devitalizes the bacteria with no harm to normal tissue.
Rife also described how he found all the frequencies that would kill the various microorganisms.
I stood in front of that thing for 30 years, finding these different frequencies that devitalize these different bacteria, and that thing was shooting on me right here. But it is absolutely harmless to normal tissue, and each individual bacteria requiring a different frequency to devitalize. How do you arrive at the frequency of the bacteria? How do we arrive? We put the specimen of the bacteria under the microscope, and we tune this device, sometimes months before we find a frequency that will devitalize or precipitate or break up this. In other words, you have to keep trying frequencies until you... Yes. Then we go through. Then many of these bacteria we must take and put back into the experimental animal and see if we can, after we have supposedly devitalized them, whether we can reproduce again the disease in the lymphatic system.
Hi there. Okay, I just wanted to go to the website for Spooky 2 that has user testimonials. These are just a few hundred of the thousands that they have. Okay, for example, this person regarding cancer. She said, "Things are positive. When I visited my urologist recently, he could not find my tumor. This is the same doctor who told me in October 2015 that my tumor was roughly the size of a grapefruit, about 12 centimeters in diameter. I have been using Spooky about every 3 days, and the doctor doesn't see any need to examine me for another 4 months, since the tumor has miraculously disappeared. I have chosen not to tell him of my secret Spooky. I just told him I was eating much healthier, mostly fruits and veggies. I have more friends that will be ordering Spooky soon. My friend blah blah in St. Louis told me he just received his 4-pack of Spooky 2s. Okay, so as you can see, there are many testimonials here, and the reason why the names are blocked out is obviously to keep their identity safe and anonymous. Some of these are on Facebook. I've actually contributed to a couple of testimonials on Facebook, and maybe I'll be added eventually too. So here's a person saying that their cancer and Lyme disease are gone. My update, the cancer is gone, chronic Lyme disease is gone, floaters in my eyes are dissolving away, my retinologist said that would probably never happen. So thrilled I'm continuing to use this technology to undo the other 7 diseases and issues that caused the cancer in the beginning. I will update as the issues are resolved and undone. So as you can see, there's several hundred. As you can see, I'm just at the beginning of this, and these are just what they've archived for a period of time. Someone healed of prostate cancer. So this is a lot about cancer. Let's see. There's one of my favorite stories is this dog. It works on animals and plants. So like I said, this is a scientific system. It doesn't hinge on belief. Whether or not a person believes it, it doesn't matter, because it's scientific. For example, this dog. This woman wrote in, or this man wrote in, and said that their dog was healed of cancer, and how this dog was healed of cancer was through the remote. Okay, I'll just tell you just quickly what remote is. Okay, so basically if you get the DNA of an individual, whether it's yourself or another person or an animal, in the form of their fingernail or toenail, their DNA is encased in hard keratin, which makes it long-lasting. And that's what you do is that you put it in paper tape. Whoops! You put it in paper tape, and you put it on paper, and you write their name of who the recipient is that's being rifed remotely. You put it into the remote healing part of the Spooky 2 machine, and believe it or not, no matter where that person is in the world, with the principle of quantum entanglement that Einstein and Tesla had spoke of, it actually will send rifing frequencies no matter where you are at in the world. So you can live in Florida and be visiting Australia down under, and you could be rifed from there. Somehow, some way, this quantum entanglement is entangling the DNA of the recipient, or the DNA of the person that had given their DNA sample in the form of a toenail or a fingernail. Anyway, it's somehow entangling in a quantum way. Don't ask me what I just said, but somehow it's connecting that DNA to that of the person being rifed. So that's why I said that it is bizarre and interesting and wonderful and amazing all at the same time, and it's very difficult for even the most schooled and educated people to wrap their heads around. I can understand, we can all understand contact rifing, which is obviously frequencies sent through the Spooky 2 machine or Rife machine to you via TENS pads through electrical wires, but can you wrap your head around frequencies that are customized, sent to you from a Rife machine to anywhere you are at in the world without any hooks or any wires or any apparatus on you? As bizarre as that sounds, a lot of these testimonials are referring to the remote rifing. So here it is. Here's a picture of this nice dog here. Just want to share a success story with the hope that it will help someone else. 3 months ago, a lady was brought into my clinic with cancer, breast cancer, and secondary bone cancer. Okay, well, that's exactly not the story of the dog. Oops. Okay, here's the story of the dog. Okay. By Vanessa Lawrence in Paso Robles, California. Spooky 2 continues to blow me away. Came home after a week in Reno, and my old girl Scarlett, who was also diagnosed with a lung tumor the size of an apple, seemed to be in transition to the better world. In other words, she was dying. She hadn't she hadn't eaten in 5 days and was completely listless and disoriented, and I even prepared her burial spot. I got right back to running my plasma on her for about 10 hours throughout the days and nights. I run lung tumor frequencies and added appetite and nausea and pain just in case she was having pain and not showing it. I also run detox programs on her and have her running on remote for the cancer and detox. Just 30 hours after I got home and started sessions back up, she started to eat a little hamburger, was able to focus again, and has been doing 12 to 15-minute walks for 4 days now. I now believe I have more time with her and that she is pain-free. I truly believe I have shrunk the tumor since she no longer hacks through the night as she was doing for weeks, which had prompted the vet visit in the first place. Spooky is the real deal for any skeptics out there. This is just one of many successes I've had in just 6 months. Photo is her when I got home from Reno and she was just a limp noodle. Video is her on our walk yesterday. Okay, I don't have the video. She is the sole survivor of this litter, left as Ridgebacks don't typically live past 13, and her birthday is next month. So, the plasma, like I said, is a different type of machine. The plasma is actually something where you don't have to get the DNA of the person or the animal or the plant. The plasma machine will actually emit rifing frequencies within 60 meters, or approximately 60 meters. So the dog was in the house within the effective radius of the healing frequencies, and so that's how this dog was able to get healed. And also it helps with sleep, with insomnia and such. This person had all these issues, menstrual cramps, endometriosis, pain, hip pain, backache. It helped her. This is somebody who wanted to share that they've been healed of Lyme disease and Morgellons. Let's see if I can find another one in which I can read to you, just in case if you're listening. Let's see here. Sorry for the background noise. My husband is avidly washing something and grinding up coffee beans. Sinus problem gone in 1 day. So if you're listening on Spreaker, on Fringe Radio Network, I would highly suggest going to the YouTube page for this as well, and that way you can see the screenshots and what I'm talking about. Somebody healed of bronchitis. There's also settings for bipolar disorder, believe it or not, anxiety, depression issues. And yes, definitely anxiety and stress and depression is something that God can heal and has healed people of, but sometimes it is a mental and physical problem. But mainly it's a spiritual problem, so it has to be healed on all fronts, spiritually, mentally, and physically. And the Lord can do all three, but my experience is that God gives me that peace in my heart and deliverance from anxiety and depression, etc., And then secondly, I take supplements, for those things, but also you can replace those supplements with the healing frequencies for depression and such. Stomach, intestinal bubbling. Someone healed of stroke. Let's see what else. I guess it healed somebody of Alzheimer's disease. A urinary tract infection. People have been healed of worms, parasites and such, canker sores. Thyroid has been normalized. You can make colloidal silver with it. Here's a cute picture of another dog. So this little dog is being rifed, and this is something that's in addition. This is in the Essentials kit, I believe. Our pup pulled a muscle in his back this morning, could feel the tightness. We gave him a couple cold laser treatments, and he's doing great. Second pic, you can see how relaxed he is. We added a large elastic piece to extend the wrist laser to fit him nicely. Well, good thing this dog didn't escape the rifing. This is a cold laser wrist for a dog, so thankfully this dog was small enough for the cold laser wrist to do its thing. So as you can see, here's what's around the dog, and these are the wires. But you can also, like I said, you could rife somebody remotely using their DNA in the form of their fingernail or toenail or blood or hair with the bulb attached or the root attached. Or you could do a Bacchus skin sample by taking a piece of paper and swabbing the inside of one's cheek, or placing it on the roof of one's mouth. But that doesn't last very long. The best sample is the fingernail or toenail sample. What else is there? Let's see. Eyelid styes, asthma relief. Okay. I'll read this. Here's my latest Spooky 2 success story. I have had progressing osteoporosis for many years. My immune system has reacted very negatively to bone-building products, and due to severe RA, I have not been able to do weight-bearing exercises. Last February, I had a femur fracture, which doctors say was caused by side effects of their bone-building meds. 6 weeks ago, I started bone regeneration frequencies nonstop with the white remote, as the doctor was insisting on another bone density test. Okay, so she's testifying to the remote aspect of Spooky 2. After 6 weeks of running these frequencies on Spooky 2, my density test came back with 18% bone density improvement in hip, spine, and neck. After reading the results, the doctor quit pushing his meds and told me to keep doing what I'm doing. Interesting. So I need to backtrack. I digress. Doctors aren't evil. They're not villains or whatever. They just know what they know. And unfortunately, the American Medical Association doesn't endorse these Rife machines, and only Mexican doctors, believe it or not, or Mexican doctors in the clinics over there will actually use these Rife machines, but not here in the good old US of A. Very, very few doctors would ever endorse Rife machines unless they're a holistic doctor. Okay, even though we're almost at the end of these different testimonials, it doesn't mean that this is all there is. There's an ongoing, this is just a 2015, so they just put a sample of a few hundred on here for people to take a look at. But if you really, really want to see live testimonials, including mine, you could go to Spooky 2 Rife for Life Facebook group, and you can see people's questions, people's answers, people's testimonials and such. See that I guess it killed Demodex mite and mange from a dog. This horse was apparently healed of something. Rex the horse back on track. All right, since this horse is cute, I'll read it. This is the last story I'll read. This post might be a bit long, but it has a good ending. Dr. Kathy and I have been working with a friend and her horse. Here's her story in her words below. Rex is a 14-year-old Mustang. He is an active and qualified search and rescue horse for Yuba County Sheriff's Women's Posse. With the YCSWP, he's used to search for missing persons and evidence, perform extractions, provide security at events, parking enforcement, parades, etc. He is also proficient in working cattle, trail trials, and lessons. In April, he developed swelling in his back. Originally, the veterinarian believed Rex injured it with a fall in the pasture, and we started supporting him with acupuncture, supplements, and laser, meaning the spooky 2. He only improved slightly. Oh, okay, I guess it wasn't the spooky 2. He only improved slightly, so X-rays and ultrasounds were done. He had been shot in the neck. It was in a bad area and there was substantial infection, so he was put on a high dose of antibiotics for 3 weeks. The swelling shrunk but then grew again. I took him to UC Davis where they did extensive x-rays and ultrasounding on him. The bullet was between his trachea, carotid artery, and his esophagus, and his infection had spread throughout his entire neck. The only way to remove the bullet was by anesthetizing him, tubing his esophagus, doing an incision, moving his esophagus to the side, and then using the ultrasound and a needle to pinpoint the bullet. The surgeon followed the needle with his instruments to safely get to the bullet and extracted it. They flushed the inside of his entire neck to remove as much of the infected matter as possible and installed a drain. He has been on antibiotics for weeks and will continue for approximately 3 more months. He is also on daily supplements and weekly therapies to help repair nerve, bone, and muscle damage caused by the bullet and infection. Dr. Kathy and Elizabeth did remote healing. Here we go. This is the spooky 2 part. Dr. Kathy and Elizabeth did remote healing on Rex using pieces of his hoof. Even after the surgery and 3 months of healing, Rex could not straighten his neck area to eat normally, and he could not bend more than 30 degrees to each side. He was also stiff all over, especially in his neck and shoulder areas, lethargic, and had lost over 300 pounds. I continued to do the laser work 3 to 5 times a week, and Dr. Kathy ran the spooky 2 on him to help clear the infection and improve overall healing. During the following week, he spent quite a bit of time lying down. After about a week of spooky 2 treatments, he started doing weird stretches of his neck, head, and legs. Okay, so I guess the laser is part of the spooky 2 as well. I had seen him stretch his legs many times in the past, but he was stretching them in different ways. He also would try to stretch his neck out and moan. Within a few weeks, his neck started stretching further when he would stretch. It was crazy, like he was doing his own physical therapy. I noticed some more stretching and often more laying down immediately after treatments. Within about 4 weeks, we had regained full range of motion in his neck. The veterinarian could not believe it. They had told me he would always be stiff and very limited. Over the next couple months, we took him off the antibiotics, continued the spooky 2 treatments, and added some weight, bladder, and probiotics. After about 6 weeks, we had put most of weight back on. After about 6 weeks, we had put most of weight back on and was moving completely normal. The horse was. I waited a few weeks and started working him. 1 year from his shooting, I was able to ride him with no visual impairments or lameness of any kind. Today, 1 month later, he is requalified with our search and rescue unit and has returned to being ridden 3 to 5 times a week and working cattle. I am so thankful for his recovery. Without the spooky 2, I believe that he would still be a horse with limited function, stiffness, and only able to be ridden short periods by a light rider. The veterinarians at UC Davis and in Penn Valley all gave the same prognosis, but we're all amazed at how he is back to normal with no signs that he ever was injured. Wow, isn't that awesome? So that's interesting that the veterinarians gave him a prognosis that he'd always be stiff and lame. Dog healed of heartworms. There's that same dog again, I guess, and it ends with a cat's dental infection being healed. So we started off with a dog, we ended it with a cat. So, to go to the user testimonials, you go to spooky2-mall.com/user testimonials. Again, spooky2-mall.com/user testimonials. Hi there. I just wanted to give you a general overview of the capabilities and functionality of the Spooky 2 Rife machine type. Why I say it's a type of Rife machine is because regular Rife machines are their own unit and they don't necessarily need to be plugged into your PC like a laptop or desktop. So this is what the interface looks like once you've loaded it. And by the way, this isn't instructional necessarily, this is just a example of what the Spooky 2 can do. So I would select this little button here, Home, and then Shell Empty Presets. And then Contact is where, like I said, you would use TENS pads or the silver handholds, and those are very powerful. Plasma is that machine. It's around $2,000, in such that it'll emit a frequency for healing and or killing within a 60-meter range approximately. Remote is where you put the DNA sample, like a fingernail or toenail or what have you, into the remote part of the machine of the Spooky 2, and then it'll transmit the healing and killing frequencies wherever you're at in the world. This is the most wondrous, this is the most effective actually. For every, I believe, 3 or 4 days of killing or healing with remote, it would equal 1 or 2 sessions of contact. But don't quote me on that. That's what I've read on the Spooky 2 Facebook groups and such. Okay, let's say for example you choose remote, choose kill or heal, and then programs. So I looked at the top 10 reasons why people are dying quite literally around the world globally. Number 1 reason is coronary artery disease, 7.4 million deaths. Is that per year? I'm not sure, I didn't do my research here, but number 1 would be coronary artery disease. 7.4 million people died from coronary artery disease in 2012. So let's just say I type in coronary, and then when you see what populates, you type in C and it'll go to the words that start with that first letter. Okay, so not much luck with that. So if I type in artery disease, okay, it's not going to work. So what I would do is type in heart disease. Here we go. Sometimes you just have to play with it and figure out the terms that it has and doesn't have. So it does have heart disease. So right here, here's a heart disease program for 3 minutes at this frequency. Heart disease is 30 minutes long. This is a real intense heart disease program. Okay, so second most reason why people die globally is stroke. So I would type in stroke, hopefully that'll come up. Okay, so here we go. So there's a stroke program that's 6 minutes long at this frequency, and then another stroke program that's more intense, and then stroke follow-up. And then we've got number 3 reason, chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, or COPD. So I'm going to type in COPD, see if it has it. COPD. It does. There's COPD, chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, 3 minutes long, and there's a more intense one, COPD, 30 minutes long. Number 4th reason, lower respiratory infections. I'm not sure if it'll be that specific, so I'm just going to type in respiratory, and then you go where it populates, type in R. For whatever reason, it seems to populate anything that's related to your search here. Okay, so we've got all these different respiratory conditions. Respiratory diseases, I think, would probably be the closest to that particular reason for death globally, the number 4 reason, that is. Okay, so the 5th reason is trachea, bronchus, and lung cancers. So I'm just going to type cancer, and all these various cancer treatments show up. Cancer 1 healing, as you can see, cancer additional frequencies, cancer adenocarcinoma esophageal, so that's for the throat, cancer all tumors, cancer astrocytoma, cancer basal cell skin carcinoma, cancer basic, cancer bladder, cancer brain tumor, cancer bone, cancer breast, cancer bronchial, there we go, bronchial, what else here, cancer carcinoma, basal skin scale skin cancer, liver cancer, uterine fermentive. So as you can see, there's all kinds of cancer treatments here. And the Spooky 2 team is very good at answering your questions. They chat live most of the day. They're in China, but they do get back to you. You can actually chat live with them or send them a message. Or if you want to get a quicker answer, you would do a search on the Facebook Spooky 2 Rife for Life group on Facebook, and there are a lot of helpful and informative and knowledgeable people on there. So that actually it's very exhaustive. Look at all these different cancers. Cancer, leukemia, all kind of throat cancer. Okay. So the number 6 reason, HIV/AIDS. They say HIV and AIDS can't be healed. Au contraire, mon frère. HIV, AIDS, HIV. There have been people that have had success stories with being healed of HIV, believe it or not, through this program. And I know that there are other protocols via medicine, antibiotics, and things like that that have prolonged people's lives who have HIV and cancer and such, whether it's natural means or medicine-related means to prolong someone's life or attempt to heal them. But this is probably the most natural route besides the supplements and herbs and vitamins that a person could use to boost their immune system and white blood cell count and things like that to go against the giant of HIV. So that is HIV and AIDS. So really it's a lie that these things cannot be healed. Okay, number 7, diarrheal diseases. Diarrhea. Okay, these are the different viruses and bacteria that cause diarrhea. Clostridium difficile, colitis and diarrhea, Cryptosporidium, general diarrhea, Dientamoeba fragilis 1, dysentery, Endolomax, nanotrophocytes, and cysts. So these are the different bacteria and viruses that cause diarrhea. And then there's also a medicine database that you could use to apply to this condition. It's the molecular weight or substance database, and it mimics the effects of the medicine. Like, for example, this fluoxetine, this helps with regards to diarrheal diseases. And you would choose the preset for substance, and then programs, and then that particular molecular weight medicine, and it'll mimic the results. Okay, so that's diarrheal diseases. Number 8, diabetes mellitus. So I'm going to type in diabetes and look at all these diabetes programs. Diabetes 1, gestational, diabetes hyperglycemia, diabetes insipidus, diabetes mellitus, secondary, tertiary, diabetic neuropathies, diabetic neuropathy, diabetic retinopathy, etc. Number 9 is preterm birth complications. Well, that is obviously of the embryo or the baby, the fetus, the baby in the womb. So I'm not sure how that's going to work in terms of getting a sample from the baby. I guess the question would be, is it safe for an infant? Is it safe for the developing baby inside the womb? I have no idea, but I'm assuming that the DNA sample would be the same. I'm sure that the fingernail or toenail isn't really developed, so that probably wouldn't be a good idea. But who knows? Perhaps maybe getting a tiny blood sample from the developing baby might be a good idea. Although blood samples I think only last 2 or 3 days in the remote. But anyways, it's preterm birth complications. So I'm not sure if it's in there or not. I would be surprised if it is, but who knows? Okay, maybe that's not the best idea. Okay, what about preterm? Okay, it says cervix incompetence, premature dilation and thinning of cervix causing possible miscarriage or preterm birth. Look, there you go. Cervix incompetence. It doesn't mean that the woman is incompetent. It means that for whatever reason the cervix is prematurely dilating. Here is a medicine, hydroxyprogesterone caproate. I'm not sure what that does. Lucinactant, warfarin. So these all are supposed to help for preterm birth complications. Number 10, tuberculosis. I used to work for a tuberculosis hospital, so this is close to home. Okay, so tuberculosis, there it is. These are all the different tuberculosis strains. Bacillinum, bird tuberculosis. Is that tuberculosis that originated in birds? I don't know. Or does it make you squawk like a bird when you cough? No, I'm just kidding. No, all kidding aside, this is definitely not a kidding type of issue or condition. Once a person has TB, it's obviously fatal, or can be fatal. Mycobacterium tuberculosis, tuberculinum, tuberculosis aviar, bovine, Klebsiella, Rod E. coli infections, tuberculosis rod form. So as you can see, there's tons of tuberculosis type of strains in here. So, okay, so enough about diseases. What about healing programs in terms of body, in terms of mind, and things like that? So I do know several people in my life that have bipolar disorder. So check this out. For behavioral things, I would choose the healing frequency. So presets, healing programs, and then type in bipolar. Look at all these bipolar programs. Bipolar disorder, that's more longer intense. Bipolar disorder, that's a little less intense. And then cyclothymic disorder, depression bipolar, depression manic. These are the different substances that could help bipolar people. Aripiprazole, like I said, I know it's odd to see these different medicines being mimicked in terms of the results, but if it works, lithium, for example. So this is a good way to see if these different medicine frequencies would work on you or someone you know or love without the side effects. So it just mimics the benefits and not necessarily the side effects. Okay. So there's bipolar. What about depression? Depression, anxiety, depression, drugs or toxins, depression due to outside circumstances, depression general 3, depression general, depression manic, postpartum. And unfortunately, my mother suffered from postpartum depression, and that would have helped her, I believe. And like I said, these frequencies are just as God-given as vitamins, herbs, and supplements. One wouldn't think that they were sinning if they took echinacea, for example, or garlic, or astragalus, or phosphatidylserine, or passion flower, or chamomile, would they? So likewise, these frequencies are a gift from the Lord as well. God created frequencies, and this is just another tool in God's case to help heal you and or other people. Depression, disorder, detox, depression, drug, toxin. And I've actually used energy and vitality for myself before, and it really has given me a lot of energy. Also, it can actually heal your brain. So if you select brain, and then look at all these different brain conditions that it could heal. Brain abscesses, brain beta stimulate, I've used before. Brain concussion, brain diseases, brain frontal lobe, brain fungus 1, brain ischemia, brain normalize, which I've used, brain tumor, and just general brain. Let's see, what about hyperactivity? See if it has hyperactivity, because I know that some people have kids that have hyperactivity. Okay, for whatever reason doesn't have it under hyperactivity. So I think it's under ADHD. There it is. There's attention deficit disorder with hyperactivity, and these are the different medicines or medicine frequencies, as well as vitamin B6 that could help heal your child or yourself. Chromosome 16 abnormalities, if a chromosome is missing causing the ADHD. I wonder if they have ADD in here. Well, there's definitely addiction, alcoholism, addiction, drugs, and this has helped people with their addictions as well. Basically, everything that I've talked about, there is a success story behind everything I've just said, whether it's been expressed or implied on Facebook or emailed to Spooky 2 or whatever. There are hundreds of different diseases and conditions that Spooky 2 has helped and healed. Okay, let's see. Okay, what about healing skin? I, unfortunately, because of my staph infection, have been scratching, itching, whatever you want to say, for the last several years. Well, actually, I haven't had staph for several years, but I started getting staph in October and November 2015. So it has progressively gotten worse, but progressively has gotten much better since I started spookying or rifing, whatever you want to say. So I chose the skin scar treatment. So I typed in skin, and there we go. There, look at these different skin treatments. Skin and facial toning. So there's beautifying effects. Skin collagen building helps with skin healing as well. Skin diseases, skin scar tissue healing. And I'm telling you, these different scars that I've had have healed up very quickly as a result of the skin scar tissue healing. Okay, and there's even energy and weight loss. So let's see. Type in fat. Look at this. Fat burn 1, fat burn 2, 3, 4, fat burn hypostyle, lymph detox, fat burn, fat cells, fat energy metabolism, fat obesity 1, fat obesity 2. Okay, so there's weight loss programs, and it actually has given me amped up desire to exercise, and I do feel, believe it or not, heated throughout the day because of the fat burn settings, fat burn programs. And I know it's doing what it says. It's burning fat because I've lost some weight. Yee! Okay. What about energy? I'll use a little energy. Okay, so there's energy. There's adrenal gland balance, ATP generate, blood pressure balance to energy, vitality, essential oils, and that would, for essential oils, that's underneath the essential oil settings. So you go to presets, essential oil, and then you would select the essential oil. So this is what happens when you select a program. So for example, if I do select essential oil energy, it goes there. If I want to select this essential oil, it goes there. If I want to select that essential oil, it goes there. And so then you would go to control, but that's in another step. So fat energy metabolism I've used. So this will give you energy as well. Just to explain, I don't know what all of these presets do, but what I've used is essential oil harmonic. I've used healing, obviously, and kill or heal, killing, and substance. And so if you look at it as these are different cabinets, like for example, you couldn't select necessarily killing and an essential oil. You would have to select essential oil and then essential oil. Or, for example, if it's a healing program, you'd have to select healing and then, like for example, this adrenal gland balance or something that needs to be healed. So killing works with pathogens, conditions that usually end in itis, diseases, viruses, bacteria, parasites, etc. And then healing is something that you would need to be healed of, like skin disorders or what have you. And then essential oil is for essential oils. And there's a way to actually chain them all together, but that's a little bit more advanced than I want to get into. But I just wanted to show you a little bit of what it can do. And so basically you would go to, after you've selected your programs, you would go to control, you would select, okay, let's just say for example, we go to presets, let's say healing, adrenal gland balance, fat energy metabolism. And you could choose all these healing presets or programs rather, because it's all, these are all conditions that need to be healed, not need to be obviously killed. Let's just say I choose skin scar tissue healing, skin collagen building, and then control. And then these represent generators, or these represent spooky 2 machines. I've got 3 of them. So you select the one that is empty. And look, right here, it has all the programs that you've just selected, and then you select start. And then either A, it will work through contact, which is the handholds or TENS pads, a remote, or with a DNA sample, and then it transmits the healing frequencies to you anywhere in the world. 50 miles down the road, 1 mile down the road, people have had near miraculous reports of being healed. This one man, and he's on YouTube, I think it's Synergy7 is his YouTube name, he actually states that he chose eyesight to improve. I mean, this is amazing. Okay, he chose eyesight to improve. He was 60 miles away at his office from home, and I'm not sure if he's in his 50s or what, but he says that he's always had to wear glasses and contacts, and he's never been able to really read the fine print on a tax form. I guess he's an accountant, I'm not sure. Or maybe he was doing his taxes at his office, or someone's taxes. So he didn't wear any glasses or contacts to test it, and within an hour, believe it or not, when he had eyesight to improve, it healed his eyes, or it started enabling him to see the fine print on this tax document. And this was no lie, this was no joke, this was not something that was psychosomatic, like he talked himself into. I mean, if you can't see, you can't see, but when you all of a sudden suddenly be able to see, that's something attributable to something else, such as the spooky too. There's a good chance, I'm not going to say 100%, but I'll say 99% chance it was this eyesight to improve. And I'm looking forward to utilizing it, but I'm running a lot of programs right now that take precedence. So I just wanted to give you an overview about how awesome it is. And like I said, this is not antithetical towards receiving healing from God. I believe that God can utilize this just as much as he does doctors. God can utilize this just as he uses herbs and supplements and vitamins to help heal a person, or even if a person chooses to use pharmaceuticals. God can use pharmaceuticals, which is not preferred in my book, but you know, sometimes people need to, especially if they need to go to the hospital and they need morphine, for example, for the pain of an injury or surgery or whatever. So there's always there's a time and place for allopathic medicines that are from the pharmaceutical industry, but there's a lot of side effects and contraindications and everything. Have you ever seen those different commercials and videos where they come out with some sort of a pharmaceutical drug that purports to help with anything from A to Z, and they say, but the contraindications or the side effects are this and that and this and that and possible death, and you're thinking, oh my gosh, the cure is worse than the disease. So pharmaceutical drugs in my book are not preferred, but sometimes you've got to use them. So that's not a sin. It's not considered a sin in most people's books. Secondly, some people use herbs and supplements and vitamins. Is that considered a sin? Normally people don't see that as a sin either. Just to address people who think that everything's a sin. The third way is these healing frequencies. God gave us healing frequencies. You're using frequencies right now to listen to this program through your computer, through your iPhone or iPad or whatever. So you're using frequencies to transmit information. When you text somebody, you're using frequencies. When you receive a text, when you surf the net, when you even listen to this program on YouTube or Spreaker or on freeradionetwork.com or what have you. So frequencies are not a sin. Just to let you know, I think all three are God-given means or methods to help heal a person. Just the number one thing that I mentioned isn't preferred, but sometimes you need it. Like I said, what I meant is the pharmaceutical drugs and things like that. Sometimes you need it, but I think that most of the time you don't. So, like I said, the doctors are not the enemy. They're not villains. They only know what they know. But there are a lot of alternative doctors that have come out. Some have gotten killed by the powers that be, believe it or not. These holistic alternative doctors that have healed people of cancer and HIV and whatever, they're on a target. They're on some sort of blacklist by the powers that be, who find a way to kill them or harm them or suppress them or imprison them or fine them or whatever. So there's a reason why these alternative doctors are being targeted, as well as the alternative doctor who created the Rife machines. He was targeted with, like I said, imprisonment and dragged in and out of court and accused falsely. And he died a pauper, unfortunately. But in 1986, his legend was revived. I believe in 1986 is when somebody started utilizing Dr. Royal Raymond Rife's research to create a Rife machine of their own to help heal a friend who had cancer. I had cancer because the Rife machine healed that person. So anyhow, I hope this helps you. I hope that it opened your eyes to a whole world of healing that was not there before for you. I personally use the Staphylococcus or Staph aureus programs for my staph infection. That's helped me immensely through the TENS pads as well as remote healing. Also, a neat thing that it does is that you can hook up to your Spooky 2 machine to have it do a biofeedback. And what a biofeedback is, it'll actually read all the different pathogens, whether it's conditions that you have or viruses or bacteria or parasites that you might have. And within an hour or hour and a half, it'll actually present to you on the screen all the various oh, by the way, that sound means that my staff program is done. So anyway, it'll present to you a bioscan. It'll present to you the top 20 or 35 or 40 different conditions that you have. So for example, here is a program that I'm running on myself. And it is okay, for some odd reason I am not able to pull up my biofeedback. Oh, here. Okay, sorry. So under programs, you would type in your biofeedback results. There we go. Harry Bioscan. Okay, so Saturday I did a biofeedback session and it came up with all these different frequencies. 123960, 110940, 150940, 123620, 103920, blah blah blah. So I had it scout for 35, the top 35 pathogens or conditions that I have. So that's part one of how it's customized, how these frequencies are customized to you. And then, so I would go presets, shell empty presets, and then remote or contact, and then killing, because these are the different diseases that have come up for me in the programs. And Jerry Bioscan, this is, like I said, this is a result of the different, the biofeedback that I had done. So there's a step that I'm not getting into right now, which is the biofeedback. I'll cover that on another show perhaps. And then you find the generator that you want, and like for example you would choose this generator that's red, meaning that's empty. This is flashing because I actually disabled this port to speak into my microphone. So you would choose the generator that has your DNA, and then you'd select start, and then it'll heal you remotely, or it'll kill or heal whatever conditions that you have. And you select start. So this is the top 35 frequencies that resonate in my body due to different conditions I have. You could also do a reverse lookup, and it's pretty vast. It doesn't tell you exactly what you have, but it could give you possible conditions that you have. So if you want to do a reverse lookup, go here, press go. This is how it's amazing. It'll give you the possibilities of what it could be. So it shows these various things that I might have. It's kind of a little embarrassing for me to show you exactly all the different various possible conditions I might have, but it'll show the possibilities of what I could have. Okay, if you want to increase the description of what you possibly could have, then you'd increase this number. So this is pretty vast. You don't have every single one of these diseases, and they don't really want you to pay too close of attention to these different frequency diseases that come up. So there's no way that a person could possibly have all these different diseases, as you can see. It just gives you the possibilities of what you could have. So, for example, this, whatever this is, erysipelas, resonates at the same frequency as cough. So it's not for you to necessarily like dwell on like, oh, I have all these different diseases, but it's a possibility of what you could have. So the topmost resonating frequency is this, and I could have any one of these going on. And they're not necessarily diseases per se. Like, for example, fat burn 1, it probably senses that I've run the fat burn program, so it might sense that I have some sort of metabolism going on due to the fat burn programs. So anyway, please, people, don't think that I have all these different diseases. It just gives you a possibility of what I could have, perhaps. So you could save it. But I'm not going to save it. So it's pretty amazing. It's a pretty amazing machine. This is no way, shape, or form supposed to state that the Spooky 2 can heal or cure or treat any of these conditions or diseases, but there's a strong possibility it can. So I know that the FDA has come out and said you cannot ever say that unless the FDA comes out and says that their particular medicine can help heal, treat, or cure, or at least assuage or maintain one's disease. So they have medicines that can help treat diseases, perhaps cure diseases, but mainly their desire or goal is to help you maintain those diseases, not necessarily cure. Although I have been cured and healed by pharmaceuticals, but this is a way, I think, to actually heal and or cure. This is my own opinion, not FDA approved, of course. We've already talked about the FDA. So anyway, God bless you. I hope that you consider purchasing it, or some sort of electrical healing devices. There are, instead of paying for a Spooky 2, if you want to go cheap and find out if frequency healing can work for you, there's something called zappers, Z-A-P-P-E-R-S, or zapper, Z-A-P-P-E-R, and those can run $10 for 30 kilohertz, all the way up to a couple hundred. If you want to just start off small to see if frequency healing can help you. Or you could try the home care kit, and that's just one generator, I think one remote, and that helps you do remote healing. Remote healing meaning, you put the DNA sample in, it'll send the frequencies to you wherever you're at in the world. And I had paid $215 for just one home care kit on the spooky2-mall.com website. And that's probably the cheapest route and then there's also accessories and stuff. But I started out with buying the Spooky 2 Essentials kit. That was 2 generators and the ability to do the biofeedback. It also gives you the cable for the TENS pads, the cable for the handholds, as well as the handholds. Also, if you just don't want to pay anything at all, you could actually go to youtube.com and type in Rife frequencies, and there are hundreds, myriads of different conditions and diseases that you could actually just listen to. Like if you were to, on your iPhone or smartphone or whatever, while you're jogging or walking or you're at work or you're at home or whatever, you can actually listen to these frequencies. And I'm telling you, these people who have not purchased any Rife or Spooky 2 or Zapper or whatever, they just simply listen to it through their earpieces or just play it around them or whatever, and it'll emit a sound. It has this sound waves. It emits sound waves, and people who don't even have a Rife or a Zapper or whatever, they've actually said, "Oh, I've listened to the Rife frequency for cold and flu, and I feel better already," or "My sinus is cleared up," or "My bronchitis cleared up," or whatever. So these people, complete unsolicited testimonials on YouTube, actually have said that they listened to a Rife frequency for XYZ condition and they were better. So, like I said, whether it's psychosomatic, all in our heads or whatever, the proof is in the pudding. There are success stories on Rife machines, on the Spooky 2 website, even on YouTube. So, if you're skeptical, I understand, but you really don't have a whole lot to lose, by just simply going to YouTube and type in Rife, R-I-F as in Frank E, and frequencies. There are tons of different frequencies for healing and killing various conditions and such. So anyhow, God bless you. Have a wonderful morning, afternoon, or evening wherever you're at in the world. Thank you for watching and or listening.
Thank you so much for listening to the Thai Girl for God radio on the Fringe Radio Network. I hope that you found it interesting, if not amusing. No, I'm just kidding. I hope that you found it informative and interesting. I hope and pray that God blesses you and heals you from the inside out, whatever means that you choose, as long as it's in God's plan, whether it's through frequency healing or sound healing or vitamins, herbs, and supplements, or best yet, a direct supernatural healing from God. God still is in the business of healing and saving and delivering people, and only God, only Jesus Christ can save, heal, and deliver you inside and out, but these are just supplementary. I think you understand. Anyhow, I'm not sure when I'll be back for my next show or who I'll be interviewing or if I'll be interviewing anyone. I am actually done with saying, oh, I'm going to talk about this subject or that subject with this person, because sometimes it falls through if you've listened to my prior discussions or my prior shows. Anyhow, God bless you, and I love you in Jesus Christ, and I just pray that this podcast finds you well. Take care.